Okay, artist, we are going to glaze or paint our necklaces. You got them back. They're hard. First, you want to make sure your letters, your initials are on the back. They should touch the table because we're only going to paint the top of our necklace. Next thing, this paint has a special name. It's called Glaze, and if you notice, it's really shiny. This is what happens when I bake it again in the kiln. But today, the glaze doesn't look that shiny or that bright. These are the different colors you're gonna have: yellow, orange, pink, green, blue. And then these three are special because they have little crystals in them that will burst and make a color. So you have white with crystals, blue with crystals, and green with crystals. So let me just show you a comparison. If you see the blue right here, it's kind of dull. It almost looks gray. Here's what it's going to look like when it goes through the kiln. It's going to become brighter and it's going to become shiny. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing colors, just like our yellow. Look at how dull the yellow is over here. But when it goes through the kiln, it's going to be bright and shiny. So I'm going to set this aside because I don't need it. Your glazes are going to be in the middle of the table, and you're going to share. You're going to have a paintbrush, cup of water that you're going to share with a neighbor, and a paper towel that you're also going to share with a neighbor. So on your medallion, you can either choose one color or two colors. And it's okay for your colors to touch. Like this one, my colors touch, but I didn't mix them together. Okay, we just want them to touch. So I'm going to paint two colors on this. I'm going to dip into my first color. I'm going to do this pink. Notice I just got glaze on the bristles. And I'm going to paint, and I might need to dab it to get down into the cracks. Okay, and then I'm going to let it dry because I want to put two more layers on this. And you can see it's already starting to dry. If it's not, you can blow on it. You can kind of wave your hand over it. Look at that. It's already dry. So I'm going to dip into the pink again. And I'm going to paint right on top of it. I'm going to paint layer number 2. And we paint layers to make sure that it turns shiny. So I painted my second layer. It's still wet, so I want it to dry. I'm going to blow on it again. Might wave my hand over it. Let's get some air. You can tell it's a little shiny, but it's starting to dry. And sometimes while you're waiting for this one to dry, you can paint your second one. Okay, I'm going to put my third layer on top of it. Again, you're just painting right over where you already did. Okay. I'm going to set this down because I want to use a different color. So it's important that I clean out my brush. So I'm going to dip it in my cup and I'm going to scrape it along the bottom. Swirl it a couple times. And then this is really important. We don't need a lot of water. These aren't watercolors. If they're too watery, they're not going to turn out really nice. So I'm going to wipe it on the lip, and then this paper towel, I'm going to wipe my brush on here. Oh, look at all that water it soaked up. I want to get my brush as dry as I can. Okay, it's dry. Even when I feel the bristles, there's not a lot of water. So I'm going to dip into my next one. In this next one, I'm going to use one of the crystal ones so you guys can kind of see what that looks like. I'm going to dip into this white one. And I'm going to, oh, let me bring it over. I'm going to paint. And I'm going to go around the hole. I don't want to fill the hole with glaze because that would close it. I wouldn't be able to make it into a necklace. Look at how my colors are touching. Okay. And do you see that this little crystal right here, that little chunk? We want to leave that on there because that's going to burst into a color when it's in the oven. So again, I got to let it dry like this. Might blow on it. Okay. It's pretty dry. I'm going to dip into my glaze again. I'm going to paint my second layer. I'm going to go on top, okay? And again, they can touch. That's okay if it's okay if those colors touch or overlap. Okay. I'm going to paint my third layer. I'll go right on top. Ooh, there's more crystal chunks in there. Do you see those? That's good. Those are going to burst. Okay, that's really good. So now I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to go on to my next one. Remember your brush. Clean. Make sure it's really clean so we keep these nice and clean and they don't mix. Wipe on the edge. You might have to clean it a couple times. And then dry on your paper towel and choose your next color.